today's show, a reminder to check out my new backup channel before I get into the video. It is linked below with the new video that I uploaded there about the metaverse. You definitely need to check it out. Definitely subscribe to that channel. I'll be uploading over there this week as well, and my other backup channel if you haven't already. Now, let's get into the trucker convoy. I talked about, and I showed you the Illuminati card game that obviously had the trucker strike, the trucker protest. Some people are up in arms about anyone talking against the trucker protest. What I do here is I don't try to kill hope, even though people say I do, is I just try to think of what they would do, how they would do it, would they stop it? Or a lot of these events, what ends up happening is even if a good person came up with the idea to start this, which is highly unlikely because a good person would have a tough time getting every single trucker for the most part in a country to rally behind something and to be willing to give up their salaries and quit their jobs and things like that. Usually it takes large marketing, a large voice, but let's say hypothetically that it did happen, because I do want to believe that, of course. What happens is these events get infiltrated all the time. So if something naturally is going to happen, they infiltrate it. That's what happened on January 6th. Now you could say, well, they started that from the get-go. Okay, well, if they started it from the get-go, a lot of real people showed up and were there for a reason, right? They weren't there to cause any types of violence or things like that. Things get hijacked. Movements get hijacked. That's what the CIA is doing now and has been doing. They put in social justice warriors. You saw in Canada, they had the people, in Ottawa while Trudeau ran, and what was going on outside? They had people infiltrate walking around with Confederate flags. It was clearly staged because you could see video clips all over the internet of people going up to them saying, you don't represent us, get rid of your stupid flags. And they were trying to put graffiti, mess with the statues, just like the SJW warriors do, which showed you is just totally bogus, because nobody, on the quote unquote right side or any of these people would do something like that. It had nothing to do with the mandates. So, they infiltrate these things. And what I worry about with this, and what I said from the get-go, not because it's in the Illuminati card game, is because large movements like this, they can take, whether they started or not, and they can use it for an agenda to blame us for. And that's exactly what I believe is going to happen now. Because now the trucker convoy is coming to America.
Truckers in the United States are getting ready to follow the lead of their Canadian counterparts and form a convoy that will travel from California to Washington, D.C. 50,000 Canadian truck drivers formed a 45-mile convoy to Ottawa this week to protest the government's vaccine mandate. That now requires all essential travelers to show proof of vaccination to cross the border into the United States. The American truckers formed a Facebook group that, as of today, has more than 67,000 members. The page states that they support freedom and they are done with the mandates. The group has not yet announced its start date, but says the convoy will be scheduled soon.
So the trucker convoy, if it starts to spread like this, a lot of people say this is great, and I totally understand that. I know people get mad at me all the time, and they're like, everything can't be negative, everything can't be a silent. I'm not saying everything is, but massive movements like this tend to play into their hand. Remember, they control the game. When you control the game, you move all the pieces around and you're in total control. It's like playing a board game and then in the middle of the game changing the rules of the game. So who's going to win? The guy who's controlling the rules of the game? Every time you make a move to advance in the game, they come up with a rule and say, yeah, you got to go back 5 steps. Or, if it's Monopoly, yeah, you can't buy the boardwalk. It's not worth, it's not $400 anymore. It's $1,500. You don't have the money to buy. They control the game. So coming to America, the narrative coming out of this is one of the ones I warned about. Empty shelves in Canada, right? So we've heard about the food shortages from the one-niner. One of the things that they had trouble with was explaining the shortages, because they just said, we couldn't get the food and the stuff off of the shipping containers because there weren't enough truck drivers. Then we saw all these truck drivers lined up waiting to get their trucks loaded. And everyone was saying, this is ridiculous. This is obviously a part of the Great Reset, a part of their plan. Now what you're seeing is the way that they can point a finger and say, look, it's the conspiracy cuckoos. It's the people who are anti-magic potion. They're the ones who are causing this. Now there's no food on the shelves, and it's going to spread to America. So North America, okay, now we're going to see them going from the West Coast all the way to D.C., just like the truckers there. And there's even mention, because they have a website where they're mentioning this stuff, and they're mentioning it on Facebook. They're talking about the Super Bowl, going down to the Super Bowl, which is in 2 weeks, and starting a convoy there to create news headlines and things like that. So that what they want to do is make people irate. And again, the left-right divide. Lots of people like me have been talking about it for years. How, they've taken the left-right divide to a new level because they put in conspiracies in it. They've mixed in the magic potion now. It isn't about politics anymore, but they've taken things like magic potion and put it into politics. They've taken things like conspiracies and put them into politics. And now we're dealing with, it's not even just a racial war that they've created anymore, not a man versus woman war anymore. It's not even a left versus right war anymore. It's pretty much your opinion. If someone differs from it, you're the enemy. Instead of just going, oh, that's how you feel, I don't care. So we have the trucker convoy now potentially starting in America. This is according to multiple news outlets. And the truckers in the U.S. are getting ready to follow the lead of their Canadian counterparts and form a convoy that will travel from California to Washington, D.C. This after 50,000 Canadian truckers formed a 45-mile convoy to Ottawa this week to protest the government's mandates. The same mandate issued by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, who is requiring that non-U.S. essential workers, such as truck drivers, be fully jabbed against one-niner. If they are not fully jabbed, they will not be allowed to cross land borders. So remember, problem, reaction, solution with all of these things as well. Remember, the problem will be, let me put it this way. When you look around, you're seeing all of these, channels, these truthers. It's the same thing with Trump, right? When the whole Trump thing happened, there's just a few of us who were like not on board because we never believed politics were real. I never thought your vote mattered. Never ever thought that, knew the purpose of the left, right? And there's so many people who, unsubbed and left, and which is perfectly fine. But, it was always a fight between, Trump is here to save the day, or he's the lesser of two evils. Well, you have to think the same way with this, because now you're seeing all these people coming out and they're like, yeah, they're doing something about it. And Call, you're being negative. People are doing something. Unlike you, you're talking on the internet. I'm just trying to warn people, because this is how psychological operations and false flags work. They control the events that happen. And if they don't control it and it happens naturally and organically, they hijack it. And then they go, okay, look, they're doing this. Well, now we can use this as an excuse. Now we can make this spread. We'll have plants in America. And this is saying, hypothetically, if what happened in Canada was organically and naturally started, okay, now we can do it in the U.S. Now we can do it in the U.K. Now we can do it all in all these other countries. Now we can say, there's a food shortage because these people who take the potion, they're the ones responsible. So, when we make the grocery stores, mandated to have the potion, we won't have anyone feel sympathy for the people who can't go in, because they're the ones who are doing these stupid protests and these, protesting the mandates, and the truckers are not putting they represent people like me and you, and the food's not going on the shelves, and the scarce food that is there should be for those who have the potion. Those are the things that they do. This is how they operate. It's a psychological game. People are always just like, they're going to show up with guns and it's going to be a military tank. They play psychological games. It's psychological warfare. That's what it is. And they're dominating it right now because they've gotten everybody turned on one another. And they have things like this going on. And I get that people want hope and they go, those are real heroes. Maybe they are. I mean, to me, look, Jesus is the only hero that has ever lived. But, if somebody like, that's a great thing and they're doing more than you call or doing more than so-and-so, of course you're entitled to feel that way. But you got to always think what's behind it. Because if you don't think 10 steps ahead, then you're thinking 10 steps backwards. Because these are things that happen. And then 3 weeks from now, suddenly it's, we have another insurrection at the Capitol, or we've got an event at the Super Bowl, or suddenly we can't get any food at the grocery stores and everything is short on the shelves. And then they go, okay, well, because of the people who are doing this are non-jab people, we're going to make it for those following the rules. We're going to make it easily accessible to them, so they're the only ones that could go to the grocery store. Bada bing, bada boom. It's how it works. So it's spread to America. It's going to spread to other countries. And it's not spreading organically. This is something that I believe is either a hijacked movement or their plan from the get-go. And look, you could look at the Illuminati card game. You could look at things, there are lots of things that you could look at, right? The people who are behind it, you could start investigating those people. You could start investigating. Because think about it. Even if two guys, or, I don't know who started in Canada. I have the names written down. But it's two people started. And then what? They tell a friend and they tell a friend. Okay, you don't think along the way that there's people who are members of secret societies that are part of it? Remember, it's not like a group of people who all know each other are doing this. The majority of these guys don't know each other. They just know each other through the fact that they're all truck drivers. So 90% of them could be, it's like starting a major thing and then having it infiltrated. You don't know who the patsy is inside the group or who the agent is, because you don't even know who the people are anyway who are standing beside you. So if naturally it started that way, they easily could have went in and said, okay, grab the trucks, we can just infiltrate the entire thing and we'll make it bigger and bigger. And look, nothing has happened in Canada where you'd say it's a psyop yet. Like, there hasn't been some massive false flag or anything like that, which is good to see. But then you look at it and say, okay, what's the news coming out of it? I've been waiting to see what the news coming out of it is. And the only thing is, well, there's shortness of food on the shelves. And you say, okay, well, that makes sense that they're doing that. And then you see America. Oh, truckers in America now don't want to. No, not don't want. Now they're going to get blamed for lack of food on the shelves, and they want to protest, right? And then you say, okay, so this is what's coming out of this now. We're going to see more countries do the same thing because they are inspired by Canada. Because remember, Trump came out and called them heroes, right? He came out on national TV a couple of days ago, said that what they're doing is wonderful. This is how these types of things work, whether they're hijacked or they start like this from the beginning. And who's going to take the blame? You are. I am. Right? People like us. And that's how they get more restrictions against people like us. Because the people out there will go, screw it, I don't feel bad for them. Because they don't look at us as individuals anymore. They lump us into a group. And that's what they're doing now. They're lumping us into this group of unpotion. And instead of listening to what anyone has to say, they just go, you're selfish. You do what you want to do. You believe in crazy, kooky conspiracies and all that other stuff. So I'll keep an eye on this. I wanted to rant about it because seeing that it's coming to America, seeing talk of the Super Bowl and seeing talk of this ending in Washington obviously reeks of a psyop. And look, if nothing comes out of it insurrection type wise, then what comes out of it is, like I said, the story of the lack of food, blaming it instead of blaming it on the Great Reset and them deliberately doing it or blaming it on the one-niner. They can blame it deliberately on people who are anti-potion. And we start becoming more and more of the enemy in the eyes of the people, which is what they want, while they're laughing going, look what we did, because that's how they work, as they hide in the caves, but not for long, because the trumpets will sound at some point soon. I thank you guys for listening to today's show. Reminder again to check out the website at golfanduprising.com and also to check out and sub to those other channels that are linked below. I thank you for being here. God bless all of you and your families.